Hello guys, tonight we begin with asterisk, a quiet exploration, slower than usual, careful, curious. A gentle step down the staircase of history, not to the grand salons, glittering with brass and crystal, but somewhere far more interesting, somewhere most people would prefer to ignore. Asterisk, we're going into the Titanic's underbelly, into corridors with more character than comfort, walls that sweat steam and salt, shadows so thick they feel like company. Asterisk, not the world of tuxedos and champagne toasts, but the rattling, crowded, intensely human spaces below deck, where people huddled in bunks that creaked in protest, where the air was a negotiation, not a gift, where people laughed in spite of it all, and dreamed of better days while ignoring a smell that might knock you over if you let it. Asterisk, there's nothing scary here. Just a lot of improvising, a bit of sweat, more noise than anyone admits, and a surprising amount of hope if you're willing to look for it. Asterisk, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here and want to join us again sometime. It's always fascinating to see who's joining us from around the world. Let me know where you're watching from and what time it is there. Dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. Asterisk now. Let's ease into tonight's journey together. Asterisk, you open your eyes, or think you do, and you're there. Deep in the Titanic's bowels, the kind of corridor they don't print on postcards. You don't see the grand staircase. No cherubs carved in wood. No polished brass gleaming in gaslight. Just riveted steel. Pipes overhead that groan like they hate their job. A floor slick with condensation that refuses to dry no matter how many times someone wipes it. Asterisk, the air hits you first. It's thick, damp, grabs you by the collar like an over-enthusiastic relative at a family reunion. It smells, complicated. Like someone tried to bottle the entire Atlantic and then forgot to seal the lid. Salt hangs in it, sharp and heavy. Rust contributes its own sour, metallic temps. The taste of a penny held too long on the tongue. Asterisk, there's steam too, always. Steam. It drifts like a bored cat, curling lazily around corners, refusing to dissipate. It clings to your skin before you've even started moving, making you question the point of changing your shirt this morning. Asterisk, you can see it in the dim glow of the lamps, those dull bulbs that seem embarrassed to be working at all. The light doesn't so much illuminate as surrender. Shadows crowd in like nosy neighbors. Asterisk, the boilers are breathing. That's the polite version. In truth, they growl, rumble, vibrate with a mechanical life of their own. You feel it in the walls. If you lean back, a gentle, relentless shudder, as if the whole ship is alive and slightly irritated to be awake. Asterisk, your footsteps slap wetly on the floor. You try to step lightly, but it doesn't matter. Every move makes noise. The steel plates complain. The water seeps, and squelches. Asterisk, and the temperature is a mood swing. Near the boilers, oppressively hot. Air so thick it feels like soup that's trying to escape the pot. It smells of oil and coal dust, ground so fine it hangs in the air like an insult. Asterisk, step a few meters away. Suddenly a chill slides down your back. A cold draft sneaks through some forgotten seam, clinging to your spine with damp fingers. The walls here are thin, just enough steel between you and the ocean outside, which seems delighted to remind you it could kill you with a shrug. Asterisk, it's not consistent. It's not fair. It doesn't care. Asterisk, you breathe carefully, through your nose at first, until you realize that's a mistake. Then you try your mouth, only to discover that tasting the air is worse than smelling it. Asterisk, but you adapt. You have to. Asterisk, everyone does. Asterisk, no one comes down here expecting comfort. They come because the ticket was cheap, because they're going somewhere better eventually, because they don't have another choice. Asterisk, you wipe your forehead. It's instantly wet again. You roll your eyes and wonder why you bothered. Your collar clings to your neck like a guilty confession. Your sleeves are heavy with sweat. Asterisk, you think about modern life, about the luxury of tapping your thermostat and expecting the air to obey. A blessed 21 degrees, precisely what you want, because you're important enough to deserve it. Asterisk here. The Titanic's lower deck offers you exactly what it feels like. No negotiations. You get the weather you're given. The ship breathes. Steam roars somewhere distant. The pipes above your head knock and groan. A hiss escapes a valve, startling you. You laugh at yourself. It's never really silent here, but the noise becomes a kind of lullaby if you let it. The metallic groans, the shudder of the walls, the distant crash of waves against the hull, muted but insistent. It's almost comforting in a strange, battered way. Asterisk, you watch a droplet of condensation slide down a pipe and plop onto the floor. One among thousands. You wonder how many hours of the crossing are measured in drips and echoes. Asterisk, and then you notice the smell again. You can't really escape it. Asterisk, near the boilers. Hot, oily, metallic. Asterisk, closer to the outer walls. Damp, salty, cold. Asterisk, in the narrow middle spaces. A perfect storm of both. Asterisk, it's the smell of hard work, of people crammed together, of iron and sweat, and hope that has no choice but to keep breathing. Asterisk, someone passes you in the corridor, barely looking at you. His face is slick with sweat. He doesn't seem to notice the stink. He's been down here long enough to forget what fresh air is. Asterisk, you envy him. Asterisk, you wonder how long it'll take you to forget to. Asterisk, you hear voices ahead, muffled, tired, punctuated by laughter that's a little too loud. The kind that tries too hard. People trying to make it bearable. You get it. You'd laugh too. You move along, feeling the floor shift under you. Not enough to fall, just enough to remind you you're on a ship, on the ocean. Far from any certainty. Asterisk, you glance up at the pipes. They're sweating too. Rust gathers at the seams like scabs. Someone patched them once, maybe twice. There. Good enough for now. Good enough is the motto down here. You think about your room at home. The window you can crack for a breeze. The fan you can switch on or off. The air freshener you complain about because it's too floral. Asterisk here. The Titanic offers you its very own signature scent. No refunds. You close your eyes for a second and let it all in. The heat, the chill, the stink of oil and salt. The rumble of the ship's enormous lungs. Asterisk, you don't have a choice. But you're going somewhere better. That's what you tell yourself. That's what everyone tells themselves down here. Because hope has to be stronger than the smell. Because this is only the first night, and you have days to go. Asterisk, you smile. Despite yourself. Asterisk, and you keep walking. You keep walking because there's really no other option. The corridor seems endless at times. It curves just enough to hide what's ahead, creating small mysteries you're too tired to solve. Every so often, you feel a stray gust of air from nowhere, slipping through cracks and seams like a rumor. Asterisk, you shiver, then sweat, then shiver again. Asterisk, you hear the ship talking to itself in clicks and creaks. It's almost friendly if you pretend hard enough. Pipes rattle in sympathy with your footsteps. Somewhere ahead, a door slams. The sound travels forever down here, bouncing around like it's lost. Asterisk, you reach the sleeping quarters, if that's what you want to call them. Asterisk, they're generous enough to call them cabins, but really it's rows of bunks bolted to the walls, stacked like books in a shelf no one dusts. The mattresses are thin and lumpy, with that very personal smell of too many people trying to get comfortable in them over too many nights. Asterisk, you pick your bunk carefully, or you try to. There's really not much choice. You sit and the frame complains immediately. A sharp creak that sets off another somewhere down the row, like mice squeaking in protest. You lie back gingerly, trying not to rock it too hard. Wake the person above you. Asterisk, the blanket is rough, woven for durability, not pleasure. It scratches your skin a little, but you pull it tighter anyway. The damp chill finds its way in otherwise. Asterisk, you turn over. It's not comfortable, but you've been moving all day, so your body doesn't really care. It'll take what it can get. Asterisk, you listen to the sounds around you, breathing, the occasional cough, a mumbled conversation someone is trying to keep private, failing spectacularly. A snore that starts up at full throttle without warning, like an old engine. You wonder if you'll ever sleep. The walls groan and the ship shifts. Asterisk, your bunk feels like it's part of the ship's skeleton. Every vibration transfers into your bones. You pull the blanket tighter. You think of your bed at home, so soft you sink in. Pillows piled on top of each other like small clouds. Sheets that smell of detergent and sunlight. Asterisk, here, it smells of people and seawater. An old wood that's given up trying to stay dry. Asterisk, you smile anyway, because what else can you do? Asterisk, you hear someone laugh softly, trying to keep it down. You catch words in another language. You hear someone else answer in broken English. There's a strange camaraderie here, a shared misery that makes people kinder. Asterisk, you turn over again, the bunk squealing in protest. You promise yourself you'll get used to it, and you do, because you have to, because in the morning you'll wake up here, and the day will be a negotiation with discomfort. Asterisk, but you'll be one day, closer to wherever you're going. Asterisk, you take a deep breath, regret it immediately, but do it anyway. Asterisk, your lungs fill with air that has truly lived, air that's passed through too many lungs before yours. Asterisk, you let it out slowly, your eyes close. Sleep comes in reluctant fits. Asterisk, somewhere in the darkness, you hear someone whispering to themselves, rehearsing what they'll say when they arrive. Asterisk, you smile at that too, and let yourself drift. When you wake again, it's not much brighter. The light here is stingy. Small bulbs that flicker if you look at them wrong. Shadows everywhere. You dress quickly, trying not to elbow anyone. The floor is cold on your bare feet. You shuffle toward the washroom, or what passes for it. Asterisk. It's communal, loud, damp. Asterisk, water runs in thin, apologetic streams. The pipes complain with every twist of the tap. You cup your hands to catch a little water, splash your face, and brace yourself for the shock. Asterisk, it's cold, icy, really. It chases the sleep from your eyes instantly. Asterisk, you blink at your reflection in a grimy mirror that's given up trying to be helpful. Asterisk, you see someone who's trying, and that has to be enough. Behind you, someone clears their throat. Asterisk, politeness is an art form here. Everyone's waiting, shifting from foot to foot, pretending they don't mind. Asterisk, you finish quickly, step aside. The next person nods, grateful, eyes tired. It's a small act of courtesy. You hold on to it like a lifeline. Asterisk because there's no privacy here. Not really. You head back to the bunk area to collect your things. Step carefully over someone still snoring. Nod politely to someone else lacing their boots. Asterisk, everyone gives everyone else a little space where they can. Asterisk, it's the unspoken rule, because no one wants to be here exactly, but they want what's at the end of it. Asterisk, and that makes you allies. Whether you like it or not. Asterisk, you find your way to the corridor again, feeling the warmth rise already. The boilers haven't even hit their stride yet, and the air is thick enough to chew. Asterisk, someone's whistling. Off-key, but determined. You almost laugh. It's too early for that much optimism, but you appreciate it anyway. The corridor feels alive. Restless. Asterisk, steam curls around your ankles like a cat claiming ownership. Pipes rattle. The floor trembles with the heartbeat of the engines. Asterisk, you walk carefully. Asterisk, one hand against the wall for balance when the ship rolls. Asterisk, you memorize the path. Asterisk, you don't want to get lost down here. Too many identical corridors. Too many corners that look the same but aren't. Asterisk, someone once joked it's like a maze, designed by someone who hated people. You think that's generous. You turn a corner and nearly bump into a group. They're talking quietly, planning, sharing a bit of gossip from the upper decks, which feels like news from another planet. Asterisk, you pause, listen, smile politely when they notice you. Asterisk, they nod. Make space. Asterisk, another unspoken rule. Don't make it worse for anyone else. Asterisk, you keep moving. Feel the sweat bead on your forehead despite the cold patches. Asterisk, your shirt is damp, sticking to you. You know it won't dry properly for days. You try not to think about that. Asterisk, ahead, someone's trying to open a stubborn door. It sticks. They mutter a curse in their own language. You step in to help, both of you putting shoulders to it. It gives with a screech that makes everyone wince. You share a grin. Small victories matter down here. You move through the doorway and inhale deeply. Immediately regret it. The air here is even worse. Asterisk, but you keep moving anyway, because this is what you signed up for. Because there's no other way across the Atlantic. Because sometimes the only way out is through, and you're already in too deep to turn back. So you smile again, wipe your forehead, asterisk, and keep going. You keep going because there's a rhythm to it now. Your feet slap the damp floor in time with the pulsing of the engines. The ship feels alive beneath you, an uncooperative companion that's made its position clear. Asterisk, it doesn't care if you're comfortable. It doesn't care if you're ready. It's going to move, and you'd better hang on. Asterisk, you try not to slip as you turn another corner. The light overhead flickers just to keep you honest. Shadows jump and stretch. For a moment you think you see someone ahead, but it's just your own expectation. Asterisk, your breath mists slightly. You're in one of the colder sections now. It's like the ship wants to keep you guessing. Asterisk, you rub your arms for warmth, feeling the wet fabric drag against your skin. You wonder when you last felt truly dry. Probably before boarding. Asterisk, someone ahead laughs. A real laugh, big and full-throated. You catch sight of them, 3 people crowded together on an overturned crate, sharing a joke you missed the start of. It doesn't matter. Their laughter is contagious. Asterisk, you can't help but smile, even though your back hurts and your head is pounding from the heat and the cold in turns. Asterisk, they notice you, nod you over. You hesitate, but there's space, so you join them. Asterisk, you lean against the crate, trying not to mind the way it creaks ominously. Asterisk, they're talking about home, about where they're going, about who they'll see. You listen, you share a little. Asterisk, it's easier here, somehow. Everyone's a little raw, a little stripped down. Asterisk, there's no point pretending you're better than anyone else. You're all stuck in the same corridor, breathing the same heavy air. Asterisk, one of them offers you a bit of bread. It's tough, dry, but you take it anyway. It's food. You chew carefully, trying not to crack a tooth. Asterisk, they make a joke about the bread doubling as a weapon in a pinch. You snort, another small victory. Eventually you stand, nod your thanks, and keep moving. Asterisk, because you can't stay still for too long down here. The corridor feels like it might grow around you if you linger. Asterisk, you pass another door and catch a whiff of the kitchen. Asterisk, if you can call it that. A surprising wave of something savory hits you. Steam rising off a massive pot of stew, potatoes, carrots, maybe a scrap of meat if you're lucky. It smells strong, overwhelming, like the cook has declared war on blandness with salt and whatever spices survived the crossing. Asterisk, your mouth waters. Despite everything, asterisk, but beneath that, there's another scent, the persistent, almost affectionate stink of coal, smoke, and unwashed humanity. It's all one experience here. You sidestep a worker hauling a bucket of scraps, nod at him. He nods back, his face smudged with soot. Asterisk, his shirt is unbuttoned halfway, sticking to him in wet patches. He doesn't seem to notice. He's got other things to think about. You hear the roar of the ovens, the crackle of the fire, someone yelling instructions in accented English. Pots clatter, water hisses. It's its own symphony, ugly, chaotic, alive. Asterisk, you think about the restaurants you know. The chef's tasting spoon, wiped perfectly clean. White tablecloths, candles that smell like lavender or vanilla. You laugh at yourself. Here the candle would melt from the heat before anyone could light it. Asterisk, you step away, the smell clinging to you like a needy pet. Asterisk, further down, you find another group huddled over a small lamp. The light flickers, throwing everyone's faces into moving masks. They're mending clothes, thick wool, rough linen. Asterisk, someone threads a needle by feel alone. Another curses softly as they stab their finger. No one seems to mind the blood. There. Focused. Asterisk, the clothes are patched and repatched. The stitches tight and ugly but strong. Asterisk, you see one man testing a seam with both hands, nodding in satisfaction when it holds. You clear your throat, and they look up. They nod you over again. You watch them work. You're offered a seat on an overturned bucket. You take it. Someone hands you a piece of fabric to hold. Asterisk, you do it, without thinking. Because that's how it is down here. Everyone helps, even if they don't know exactly what they're doing. Asterisk, you chat. About nothing, about everything. Asterisk, about how many days are left. Asterisk, about the weather above. Rumors filter down from the upper decks. Always second or third hand, often wrong. Asterisk, about what you'll do when you land. Asterisk, one woman says she'll open a shop. She says it like it's a promise, like she fight the ocean itself to make it true. You believe her. You want to believe her. Asterisk, because if she can do it, maybe you can too. Asterisk, you sit there longer than you mean to, just letting the moment hold you. Asterisk, eventually you stand, nod your thanks, and move on. Asterisk, you feel the ship shudder beneath you, a long, low growl, like it's reminding you it's there, that you're still at its mercy. Asterisk, you pat the wall lightly as you pass, as if thanking it for not sinking yet. Asterisk, it's a ridiculous gesture, but you do it anyway. No one laughs, because they all do it too. Asterisk, you keep going, adjusting your grip on the small bundle you carry. Clothes, a little food, letters you can't read again because they make you too homesick. Asterisk, you wonder if the air will feel different tomorrow. Asterisk, if you'll get used to it. Asterisk, if the smell will fade. Asterisk, if you'll forget that once you had space to yourself, air you didn't have to share with 100 strangers. Probably you hope so. Asterisk, because there's still a long way to go and there's no turning back. You pass another lamp. The light is softer here, warmer. It casts shadows that move like dancers when the ship rocks. Someone's humming. You don't recognize the tune, but it's soothing. You slow down to listen. Close your eyes for a moment. Just breathe, carefully. Asterisk, because you have no choice, but you're not alone. And for now, that's enough. You open your eyes slowly, letting them adjust to the dim glow that passes for light here. The humming fades as you move on, replaced by the creak of metal, the soft slosh of water caught in places it shouldn't be. Asterisk, you think you hear laughter ahead, small, muffled, careful laughter, like people trying not to wake someone sleeping nearby. Asterisk, you follow the sound, curiosity tugging you forward. Asterisk, it leads you to a narrow space where people have gathered, knees drawn up, backs pressed to walls that sweat. Condensation, they're telling stories. Asterisk, not grand stories, not heroic epics, just bits of home. Asterisk, a father talking about the color of the fields where he worked. A woman describing the sound of her mother's kitchen at dawn. A boy, no more than 12, holding everyone's attention as he lists the animals he's sure he'll see in America. They all listen, they all smile, even if it hurts. Asterisk, you lean against the wall quietly, feeling the cool seeping into your spine. Through the damp metal. Asterisk, your shirt is wet. Your socks are wet. Even your hair feels damp, though you're not sure if that's sweat or the heavy air closing in on you. Asterisk, you don't complain. No one does. Complaining is a waste of the little energy you have. Instead, you laugh when everyone else laughs. You nod when the father gestures to you to back him up on his story. About stubborn mules. You don't know the first thing about mules, but you nod anyway, because it's polite. Because down here, small kindnesses are like gold. Asterisk, the ship groans, a long, slow note that vibrates through the floor and into your bones. Asterisk, everyone pauses, as if listening. It's not fear, it's respect. You don't ignore a sound like that. It reminds you where you are, that you're on borrowed time, that the ocean is patient, vast, indifferent. You clear your throat. The conversation resumes. A little quieter, a little more careful. Someone passes a crust of bread around, hard as a brick, but shared without hesitation. Asterisk, you chew slowly, hoping you won't crack a tooth. It tastes like yeast and effort. You try not to think of home. Asterisk, because home is far away, and thinking of it makes the walls feel closer, the air thicker. You focus on the story being told. about a pig that escaped and terrorized a whole village for 3 days. It's funny, it's supposed to be funny, asterisk. And you laugh, you let it out. Because if you don't laugh, you'll cry, and there's no privacy for crying here. You wipe your mouth with the back of your hand, shift your weight on the damp floor. You nod to the storyteller in thanks. Asterisk, then you stand carefully, knees popping, and excuse yourself with a quiet word. You keep walking. The corridor seems to stretch on forever. Asterisk, bends and corners you know you've seen before. Asterisk, you memorize little clues. A scrape on the wall here. A rivet sticking out there. Asterisk, anything to keep from getting lost. Because it's easy to get lost down here. Easy to panic. You focus on the path, on the rhythm of your steps. Asterisk, on the breathing of the ship around you. Asterisk, you hear the hiss of steam vents, the soft knock of pipes expanding and contracting. Asterisk, someone ahead is singing now. Asterisk, not words you recognize, but the tune is slow, sad, asterisk, beautiful in its way. You pause, listen. It feels personal to eavesdrop, but you do it anyway, because there's no privacy here. Asterisk, because down here everything is shared. Airspace, smells, sorrows. You press on, the floor is uneven. The metal plates warping under the strain of the sea and the ship's own weight. Asterisk, your boot catches on a ridge, and you stumble. Asterisk, you catch yourself on the wall. The cold biting into your palm, you curse softly. No one hears you. Asterisk, or they pretend not to. You keep moving. Around another bend, you find someone asleep sitting up, chin on their chest, arms folded. You envy them. To sleep here is a skill, asterisk. You wonder if you'll learn it, if you'll ever sleep so deeply you forget where you are. You doubt it, you hope it. You move carefully, trying not to wake them. Asterisk, the corridor feels narrower. Here, the ceiling lower, the pipes thicker, crowding overhead like vines in a neglected greenhouse. Water drips steadily from somewhere. Plop, 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 asterisk, a metronome for misery. Asterisk, you pass another lamp. This one flickers so badly you're not sure it's helping at all, asterisk. But you're grateful for it, because total darkness would be worse. You wouldn't want to feel your way through this place blind. Asterisk, you remember the warning, don't stray. Too far alone, people get turned around. Panic, get hurt. No one wants that, asterisk. Not because they care that much, but because it's one more problem for everyone else to solve. Asterisk, so you stick to the path you know. Past the familiar scratch marks on the bulkhead, past the smell that changes from hot oil near the boiler rooms to damp rope and salt near the cargo hatches. Each smell is a landmark, a reassurance that you know where you are. Asterisk, or at least that you're not completely lost. You sigh. The air feels heavier when you do. Asterisk, like it resists you. You imagine it filling your lungs with tiny weights, reminding you you're not in charge here. Asterisk, the ship is, the ocean is, you're just passing through, hoping for the best. You adjust the bundle in your arms. Asterisk. It's lighter than it should be. Not much to carry. Just enough to feel like you own something. A shirt, a comb, a letter you've read so many times you know every curve of the handwriting. You clutch it tighter, because down here it's easy to forget who you are. Easy to become just another face in the dim, sweaty, shuffling crowd. You breathe in again, even though you hate the smell. Because it's the only air you've got. You let it out slowly, carefully, like you're trying not to wake the ship. Asterisk. You keep walking, because there's nowhere else to go, and because tomorrow you'll do it. All again, and the day after that, until you see the land you've dreamed of. Asterisk. Or until the ship decides it's done with you. Asterisk. Either way. You don't stop. You can't. Because hope doesn't give you much of a choice. Asterisk. You straighten your shoulders. Wipe the sweat from your brow. Smile at the next person you see. Asterisk. Because that's the rule down here. Asterisk. Because that's what keeps everyone going. You nod. They nod back. Asterisk. And you both keep moving forward. You move forward with the same stubborn determination everyone down here seems to have adopted. Your legs ache, but you don't really notice it anymore. Pain is a companion now, not an enemy. It reminds you you're alive, that you're still here, that you haven't given up. Asterisk. The corridor widens a little, enough to fit a few more people side by side. It feels almost luxurious. You find yourself walking next to someone you don't know, and you both pretend not to notice each other's presence too much, just enough to avoid bumping shoulders when the ship sways. Asterisk. You exchange a glance, a small, exhausted smile. That's enough. No need for words. Asterisk. You both know what this is, what you're enduring. The smell is worse here somehow. Like the air couldn't decide on one foul thing and chose everything instead. Sweat, coal, dust, seawater, cooked cabbage from the galley wafting in aggressively. It's a cocktail no one ordered, served daily. Asterisk. You breathe shallowly. But there's no escaping it. You wonder if you'll carry this smell with you forever, if it will cling to your clothes even after you're off the ship. Asterisk. If you'll step onto land at last and someone will wrinkle their nose before they even see your face. Asterisk. You hope not, but you suspect it might. You shift the bundle in your arms, adjusting your grip. The fabric is damp. Of course it is. Everything down here is damp. Even your soul feels a little damp. You chuckle at the thought. The person next to you glances over, curious, but doesn't ask. No one pries. Another rule. Asterisk. You turn another corner, careful not to slip on the floor that's slick with condensation. There's a low pipe here that's caught more than one tall passenger in the forehead. Someone's tied a rag around it as a warning, though the rag itself is so filthy it's hard to see in the gloom. You duck automatically. Learned that lesson early. Asterisk. You keep going, passing people you recognize by silhouette more than face. There's the family with too many kids for the space they have. The mother always looks like she's calculating how to divide everything: food, room, patience. She catches your eye and gives you a nod that feels like permission to keep going. You nod back. Asterisk. You pass the group of young men who took over a corner and claimed it as theirs. They sit with their knees up, arms resting on them, talking quietly. You catch snatches of languages you don't speak. Doesn't matter. Laughter is the same in every tongue. You let it wash over you. It helps. Asterisk. Because you can't afford to think too much about the walls pressing in, the ceiling that seems to lower by the hour, the idea of all that water just the other side of the hull, patient and relentless. You focus on the people, on the shared misery. Asterisk. Because it's a misery you can measure. It has edges. It has rules. Asterisk. You're all in it together, and that's strangely comforting. You hear a baby crying somewhere ahead, sharp, piercing. Asterisk. No one sighs or complains. They're all used to it. The mother tries to soothe the child with soft words, a lullaby that sounds half apology, half prayer, though you're sure she wouldn't call it either. It's more survival strategy than anything. You pass them carefully, avoiding the little pile of belongings they've made into a sad nest. Asterisk, the baby's eyes are huge in the dim light, watching you with a mix of curiosity and accusation. You nod at the mother. She nods back, grateful for the space you give her. You keep moving. Another corridor opens to the side. You peek in. It's darker in there. Fewer lamps, people sleeping, if you can call it that. Asterisk, bodies curled around their bundles, heads resting on arms or each other. Asterisk, the snores are varied, deep whistling. Choked, you imagine the dreams down here aren't exactly peaceful. You move on, because you're not ready to lie down yet. You want to walk a little longer, as if motion itself could keep the despair at bay. Asterisk, your foot splashes in a shallow puddle. You don't even curse. What's the point? Your socks were already wet. You reach another bend and see someone crouched over a small lamp, mending a torn shirt. The needle flashes in the faint light. The person's brow is furrowed in concentration. You watch for a moment. It's oddly calming. Asterisk, the steady in. Out. Asterisk, in. Out. Asterisk, the patient tug of thread through fabric that's been patched a dozen times before. Asterisk, you realize you're breathing in. Time with the stitches. It helps. You move again, quieter this time. Asterisk, you feel the ship shift under you. A slow roll that makes your stomach flutter unpleasantly. Asterisk, you grip a pipe for balance. Asterisk, it's cold, slick. You wipe your hand on your trousers. It leaves a dark smear. You don't care. Ahead, there's a cluster of people around someone telling a story. You approach slowly, listening before they notice you. It's a funny story. Asterisk, they're all laughing, trying to keep it down so they don't wake the sleepers. Asterisk, you find yourself smiling again, even though you don't know the setup or the punchline. Asterisk, you stand at the edge of their circle, allowed in without words. That's the way it works. If you're willing to stand here, listen, laugh at the right places, you're welcome. No introductions, no questions, just acceptance. Because everyone needs something to hold on to down here, and sometimes a stupid joke is enough. You stay for a few minutes, letting the warmth of shared laughter push back the cold and the stink. Asterisk, then you nod. They nod back. You keep going, always going, because the ship doesn't stop. Because you can't stop. Because hope is the only thing cheaper than these tickets. And you've got to make it last the whole crossing. Asterisk, you turn another corner, and the air changes again. Hotter, thicker. Asterisk, you're closer to the boiler rooms now. Asterisk, you hear them before you see them. A roar that never stops. A living, monstrous breath. You feel it through your feet, up your legs, rattling your ribs. The walls here sweat openly. Asterisk, condensation drips in fat beads, splashing onto the floor with heavy plops. Asterisk, you see someone step out of the heat, shirt soaked, hair plastered to their forehead. Asterisk, they look wrecked. You step aside so they can pass. They nod. You nod. That's it. Asterisk, you glance through the open door behind them and catch a glimpse of hell. Asterisk, fires glowing. Asterisk, men stripped to undershirts, shoveling coal. Faces black with soot, except where sweat has carved clean tracks down their cheeks. No one speaks in there. No one has the breath to waste. You shiver despite the heat blasting out. You keep walking because you can't imagine staying in there, but you're grateful someone does, because without them, none of you would get anywhere. You wonder if they hate you for it. You wouldn't blame them if they did. You keep that thought to yourself. You move on, adjusting your grip on your bundle, steps careful, eyes scanning for puddles, for obstacles, for people who might need space, because that's life down here. Sharing everything you didn't want to share. Asterisk, learning patience you didn't know you had. Asterisk, making friends you didn't expect. Surviving 1 hour at a time, and dreaming, stubbornly, of something better on the other side. You keep going because stopping feels wrong somehow, like giving in to the walls that seem to lean just a little closer every hour. The corridor twists ahead of you, lit by lamps that sputter with old electricity, their glow so weak you wonder if they're ashamed of themselves. Asterisk, you catch the scent of something burning, not fire, thankfully, but oil or grease cooking too long on hot metal. It drifts lazily down the hall, announcing its presence before you even see the galley doors. Asterisk, you slow your pace, bracing yourself. Asterisk, the galley is a cramped space crammed with bodies. Aprons stained with whatever they could scrape together, sleeves rolled high, faces shining with sweat. They're shouting, but it's not angry, it's survival. Orders barked in accents thick as the soup. Asterisk, the soup itself bubbles in massive pots, thick with mystery ingredients. You can see carrots, potatoes if you're lucky, and something that might be meat if you squint with hope. Asterisk steamrolls out of the doorway in heavy clouds. It hits you in the face like an overrigid dog, hot, wet, immediate. Asterisk, you step aside to let someone pass with a crate balanced on one shoulder. They grunt thanks without looking. You peek inside. The noise is a symphony of scraping ladles, clanging pots, sizzling grease. Shouts for more water, more salt, less salt. What do you mean you dropped the bread? It's chaos. It's beautiful, because it means food, because no matter how miserable you are, you know there's a bowl of something hot waiting at the end of the shift. You watch for a moment longer. Someone stirs the pot like they're fighting it. Another tears bread into chunks, hard crust flying. A third is bent over, scrubbing a pan so thoroughly you'd think it insulted their mother. Asterisk, they don't see you. They don't need to. You're just another mouth to feed. Asterisk, and they'll feed you, even if they complain. Asterisk, even if they hate this. Job, because down here you feed each other. You don't have a choice. Asterisk, you finally move on, letting the smells of cooking, good and bad, stick to your clothes like everything else. Asterisk, further down. The air cools again, not comfortably. It's the chill of damp metal, the cold that seeps into your bones because it can. Asterisk, you rub your arms and keep walking. Asterisk, you hear music, real music. You're not sure at first. It's faint, but you follow it, drawn like a moth to a flickering candle. Asterisk, you turn a corner and see them. Asterisk, a cluster of people, huddled close. The center dominated by a man with a fiddle. Asterisk, he plays carefully. Slowly the bow squeaks a little on the old strings. He's sweating, frowning with concentration. But it's music, actual music. Asterisk. People are listening in silence, so respectful it feels holy. Asterisk, some sway. Eyes closed. A woman hums along, voice catching when it trembles too hard. A boy leans on his mother's side, thumb in his mouth, eyelids drooping. You lean against the wall and let the tune wash over you. It's not polished, asterisk. Not fancy, but it's beautiful in the way only something honest can be. The kind of beauty that apologizes for nothing. You realize you're breathing more slowly. You didn't know you were tense until now. The ship creaks and sighs, but you ignore it. You listen. You let it remind you that even down here, crammed in like sardines in a rusted tin, people find reasons to be human. They find ways to make beauty, to share it. The fiddle finishes with a soft, lingering note. No. One claps. They just nod, eyes shining in the low light. The man lowers the instrument carefully, wiping sweat from his brow. Someone hands him a crust of bread in thanks. He accepts it with a nod. That's how you pay for music here. You watch, then pack up slowly. Quietly, everyone stands, stretches, joints pop. Someone curses softly. You smile at that, because it's all so wonderfully, painfully normal. You move on. You pass another sleeping area. Bodies piled in bunks, wrapped in blankets, too thin for real warmth. You hear someone snoring in a register that suggests lifelong commitment to the art. Another mumbles in their sleep, words slurred with exhaustion and dreams. A baby whimpers, the mother shushing with desperate gentleness. You keep walking on tiptoe, though you know you can't really be silent on this floor. Every step is a confession. You keep your head down, anyway, trying to show respect. Past that. The corridor pinches in, narrower, darker. You have to turn a little to let someone coming the other way squeeze by. Your shoulders brush. You both mumble apologies in languages neither of you really understands. You move on. You find yourself in another utility space. Pipes everywhere, some painted, some bare and rusting. Condensation slides down them like sweat. A valve hisses, releasing a plume of steam that makes you jump before you remember it's supposed to do that. The heat here is less oppressive, but no less unpleasant. It's damp, in a different way. Clammy, like breathing through wet cloth. You pause to catch your breath. Rest your bundle on a crate for a moment. Your arms are tired. Your back aches. Your legs want you to sit. To give up, you don't, because you can't. You stand straighter. Take a long, slow breath, regretting it instantly as the smell hits. But you do it anyway. Because this is your air now. Like everything else down here. You share it, no matter how bad it is. You pick up your bundle again. Shift it to the other arm. Roll your shoulder and keep walking. Because you're not there yet. Because the ship is still moving. Because there's nowhere else to go. You pass another group sitting on the floor in a circle. They're playing cards on a blanket. The cards are worn to the point of being nearly blank. Edges soft as cloth. They argue about the rules. Laugh at the absurdity. One man gestures wildly, nearly smacking the guy next to him. You watch for a moment. Let the warmth of their laughter push back the chill. Someone notices you, beckons you closer. You shake your head with a small smile. Not tonight. They nod in understanding. No pressure. You keep moving. The sound of their game fading behind you. Your steps fall back into rhythm with the ship's breathing. The Titanic shudders gently beneath you, reminding you that you're at its mercy. That you're not the one in control, but you're here. You're moving. You're going somewhere, and for now, that's enough. You keep going because stopping is its own kind of defeat, and no one down here can really afford that. The floor hums under your boots, vibrating with the low, constant growl of engines burning through mountains of coal. It's a sound you'll never forget, not because it's beautiful, but because it's unrelenting. It's the heartbeat of your entire world for now. You pause at a junction of corridors, glancing both ways before choosing the one with slightly better light. Not much of a difference, both are dim, both lined with pipes that sweat like they're nervous, both smell like a mix of brine, oil, and too many people crammed into too small a space. Asterisk. You take the right corridor anyway. Familiar territory. You pass a cluster of people seated on overturned crates. They're sharing something in a dented tin mug, passing it around with exaggerated solemnity, as if it's a royal chalice. When it comes to you, they offer it without a word. You take it, sip. It's strong, bitter, but it's warm. Asterisk. You hand it back, giving a grateful nod. They nod in return. No words, none needed. That's how community is built down here. In shared discomfort, in quiet understanding, in the small stubborn moments of generosity that keep the cold from crawling too deep into your bones. You keep moving. The corridor narrows again. The ceiling low enough, you feel the need to duck even if you don't really have to. You hear the ship creak, a long, slow protest that echoes in the steel walls. Asterisk. You wonder if it's talking to you, telling you to be careful, reminding you it's the one in charge. You believe it. You smell coal dust. Asterisk. You're getting close to the boiler rooms again. Asterisk. The air here is warmer, thicker, filled with the sour-sweet scent of sweat cooked on hot skin. You see men resting outside the door, backs against the bulkhead, shirts clinging to them like wet rags. Their eyes are glazed, too tired to talk, too proud to complain. Asterisk. One of them glances at you, then looks away. You understand. They're the reason the rest of you are even moving. Asterisk. The reason there's light. Asterisk. The reason there's any hope of land. On the other side, you give them space. You move past as quietly as the metal floor will allow. Asterisk. Inside the boiler room, you see glimpses of firelight dancing on sweating skin, men shoveling coal with the determination of the damned. Sparks burst and die. Steam hangs in the air, so thick it blurs everything. Asterisk. You can't imagine staying in there for a whole shift, but you're grateful someone does. You turn away, feeling the heat on your back as you move on. Asterisk. Your clothes are damp again. Always damp. You wonder if you'll ever feel dry again, if the smell will ever wash out, if you'll carry it with you onto the docks of New York or Boston, a badge of where you came from and what you survived. You decide you don't care, because getting there is what matters, because this is the price you pay. You step carefully over a bundle left in the middle of the corridor, someone's entire life wrapped in canvas and tied with rope. They couldn't carry it any further. Asterisk. You don't judge them. You know how heavy hope gets. You move past another sleeping area. Asterisk. It's even darker here. Shadows pooled like black water. You hear breathing, lots of it. The snores of the exhausted, the soft cries of the homesick in dreams. Asterisk. You see a woman sitting on the edge of her bunk, rocking a baby whose face is buried in her shoulder. She shushes him softly, voice frayed, but still patient. You don't intrude. You keep moving. Asterisk. You hear low conversation in the next bend. Men arguing about directions, about schedules, about rumors of better meals tomorrow. Asterisk, you catch words in different languages, overlapping but somehow making sense. Asterisk, it's a soup of sound, seasoned with hope and sarcasm in equal measure. Asterisk, someone jokes about getting lost down here and ending up in Australia. You snort. They hear you and grin. You share a moment, then you move on. Your stomach growls. You're not sure when you last ate. Asterisk, or what it was. You remember it being hot. That's something. Asterisk ahead. There's another galley door, propped open, letting out a wave of smells that's hard to decipher. Burnt, savory, overboiled cabbage. Maybe you don't even care anymore. Food is food. Asterisk, a line has already formed. People holding tin bowls, shifting from foot to foot, trying to be patient. Asterisk, a cook leans out, wiping his forehead with his sleeve, calling for more water like it's a life or death emergency. Asterisk, you consider joining the line but decide to keep walking. You're not that hungry yet. Or maybe you just don't want to wait. Asterisk, you press on, because that's what you do here. You pass another family trying to get comfortable on the floor. A father pretending to be a pillow for two kids who've passed out on his legs. He winces when he shifts, but doesn't move them. He catches you looking, shrugs, asterisk smiles. A little embarrassed. You nod back, respectful, because that's the best you can do. Asterisk, you step around them carefully, giving them as much space as you can. Asterisk, the corridor widens for a few meters, then pinches again. You see two men trying to pass each other with bundles on their backs, both cursing good-naturedly as they turn sideways and squeeze. Asterisk, they laugh as they part ways, the sound echoing weirdly off the curved metal. It's a good laugh, not forced. Asterisk, not desperate, real. You smile too, because you need it, because everyone needs it. Asterisk, you keep moving. Your boots slap the floor in time with the ships rolling. You start humming, not a song you know, just a sound to fill the space. Asterisk, you realize others are humming too. It spreads like a contagion, low, gentle, almost comforting. Asterisk, no words, just a shared vibration in the stale air. A promise that you're not alone. Asterisk, not tonight, not while the ship still moves forward, not while hope is stubborn enough to survive in even the worst air you've ever breathed. Asterisk, you keep walking because that's all you can do, because it's enough, because tomorrow you'll do it again, and maybe the day after that you'll see land, maybe you'll see a new beginning. You hold on to that. Asterisk, because down here hope is as important as air. Even if both smell terrible, you take another breath. Asterisk, and you keep going. You keep going because you have to. The corridor stretches on, stubborn as the hope in your chest. You pass another junction, this one so dim you have to slow to make sure you don't walk straight into someone coming the other way. Asterisk, you hear them before you see them. The scrape of boots, the wet cough that everyone seems to share down here. Asterisk, when you round the bend, there's a brief awkward dance as you both sidestep each other. A muttered apology, a shrug. No one gets angry. There's no energy for that. It's enough to move past and keep going ahead. You spot a patch of light spilling from an open doorway. The lamps inside burn a little brighter, and the air is slightly clearer. You're drawn to it like a moth to flame. Asterisk, it's a common room of sorts, if you're feeling generous with the term. Asterisk, just a bigger space, a little less cramped, enough room for people to sit and pretend they're not all on top of each other. You step inside carefully. Asterisk, the floor is just as wet, the walls just as riveted steel, but there's something about the space that feels almost social. Asterisk, people sit in small clusters on crates and barrels, trading stories like currency. Asterisk, a young man with dark hair is whittling a piece of wood with surprising focus, curls of shavings piling at his feet. He looks up at you, nods, then goes back to it. You catch snippets of conversation. Someone arguing about what city is best to settle in. Asterisk. Someone else talking about a cousin who went ahead last year and never wrote back. Asterisk. A woman describing the feel of the dirt back home, how it crumbled in her fingers when it was ready for seed. Asterisk. Her voice cracks a little dot. No one mentions it. Someone offers her a bit of hard bread, broken in half. She takes it, nods, clears her throat, and keeps talking. You stand against the wall and listen. Asterisk. No one seems to mind. Asterisk. Because everyone knows how thin the walls are, how you can't keep secrets here even if you wanted to. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the stories wash over you. Asterisk. They're small, humble, painfully ordinary, but they're everything people have to hold on to. You hear laughter, real laughter, loud and sudden. It startles you. Someone made a joke about the ship's schedule being as reliable as the weather. Asterisk. It's not even that funny, but everyone laughs anyway, because it feels good, because it feels human, because sometimes, in the sweat and stink and endless noise, you need to remind yourself you're still alive. Asterisk. You join in, your own laugh coming out rougher than you expected. You feel eyes on you, not suspicious, just recognizing another soul, here for the same miserable ride, another passenger betting everything on a new start. You lift a hand in greeting. A few people nod back. That's enough. Asterisk. You push off the wall and keep moving. Asterisk. Because stopping too long invites the cold to settle in your bones. Asterisk. The corridor beckons you back with its dark, sweating walls and clattering pipes. Asterisk. You take one last look at the people behind you, the flickering light casting their faces into sharp relief. For a moment, they look like a painting, something you'd see in a museum and think how quaint, without smelling the sweat or hearing the exhaustion in every word. Asterisk. You blink, shake it off, step back into the corridor. Asterisk. The light dims immediately. You adjust. You always do. Asterisk. Ahead. The corridor twists left. Asterisk. You hear water, somewhere not a leak, exactly. More like a persistent drip from condensation gathering overhead. Asterisk. You hold your bundle tighter. Asterisk. It's heavy. Not with anything valuable, just with everything you own. Shirt, socks, a letter folded so many times the creases are nearly holes. A comb with a tooth missing. Treasures, all of them. Asterisk. You see another passenger leaning against the wall, eyes half closed. They startle awake as you pass, blink at you. Asterisk. Offer a tired smile. You return it, because there's no sense being cruel down here. Asterisk. No one needs the extra weight. You keep going. Your feet slap the floor in time with the steady thump of the engines. Your steps match the heartbeat of the ship. You wonder if it's changing you, if you'll ever walk on solid ground again without swaying, if the world will feel too still. Asterisk. Too quiet. You shake the thought away. No point worrying about land when you're still surrounded by water. Asterisk. You focus on breathing in, out, ignoring the smell, pretending it's just air. Your throat feels coated. Your clothes itch where they're damp. Asterisk, your hair clings to your forehead. Asterisk, you rub it back, leaving streaks of grime you don't even bother to check. Asterisk, what would be the point? You spot another light ahead, another gathering. Asterisk, you approach slowly, cautious not to intrude. It's a game this time. Dice on the floor, rolling with metallic clicks. Asterisk, wagers made in scraps of food, in cigarettes, in favors to be cashed later. Asterisk, the tension is friendly, mostly. One man swears in a language you don't know when he loses. Asterisk, another claps him on the shoulder, teasing him gently. He mutters, but he's smiling. You watch a round play out. Asterisk, they notice you. Gesture you closer. There's room for one more. You think about it. You want to, but you're tired. Asterisk, too tired to gamble, even with scraps. Asterisk, you shake your head with an apologetic shrug. They nod in understanding. No hard feelings. Asterisk, you stand a moment longer, enjoying the sound of their laughter, the camaraderie that makes the space feel a fraction warmer. Asterisk, then you turn. Keep going, because you're not done yet. Asterisk, because there's always another corridor, another corner, another hour to pass before sleep will even consider taking pity on you. You feel the ship shift under your feet. A roll that reminds you how small you are, how temporary. You ride it out, knees bending automatically. You're learning, you're adapting, you're surviving. You keep moving forward, because forward is the only direction that matters now. Forward is hope, forward is land, forward is a promise you refuse to let go. Asterisk, you take another breath, even if it's foul, even if it hurts. You let it out slowly, and you keep going. The corridor changes around you, narrower now, pipes tighter overhead. There seems weeping condensation that collects in cold drops on your neck when you're not careful. You hunch your shoulders instinctively, not just from the low ceiling, but from the weight of everything pressing in. Asterisk, voices echo strangely here. A word spoken at one end seems to slither down the passage before it dies. It feels like the walls have ears, like they're collecting secrets no one remembers sharing. Asterisk, somewhere ahead. You hear quiet negotiation, two men dividing space on a floor. They'll share for the night. There's no argument, just quiet. Compromise, as though they've both realized being stubborn is pointless here. You watch them settle, one stretching his legs carefully, the other folding his coat to use as a pillow. Asterisk, a lamp hangs low from a hook, its glow painting everything in sticky amber. It makes the sweat on everyone's faces shine. It makes shadows into monsters that shrink when you blink. Asterisk, someone's coughing wetly into their sleeve. No one reacts. Illness is another passenger down here, silent and uninvited. You see the worry flicker across faces, but it fades fast. There's no time for it. Worry is a luxury no one can carry with their bundles and dreams. Asterisk, a woman is muttering to a child in her lap, rocking slowly, her voice too quiet to make out. The child's eyes are open but unfocused, blinking slowly as the ship rocks them both. She's telling a story maybe, or praying, or just saying anything to keep herself sane. You glance at them but don't intrude. Down here, respect is letting people pretend you're not there. Asterisk, further along, there's an argument over something small. Who used whose mug, who moved a bundle. The words come sharp at first, but they burn out fast, exhaustion dousing them, like wet sand on a spark. One man laughs suddenly, the anger cracking apart. The other slumps, relieved. They shake their heads, embarrassed at having wasted the energy. Asterisk, you move past quietly, grateful they worked it out. Fights aren't good here. There's nowhere to storm off to. The ship is too small for grudges. Asterisk, you find another spot where someone set up a card game on the floor. The cards are nearly blank from use, the faces rubbed away so they're more memory than design. They're arguing about rules, accusing each other of cheating with grins they can't hide. Stakes are laughably low, crusts of bread, a promise to hold someone's place in line at the washroom. But everyone's leaning in like it matters. Because it does. Asterisk, a woman with a wide smile fans herself with a folded scrap of newspaper. It does nothing for the heat, but gives her something to do. Her hair is coming loose from its braid. She's laughing at someone's joke. Real laughter that doesn't sound forced. For a moment she looks years younger. Asterisk, the air here is foul. Hot and heavy from bodies packed tight. From the boiler heat creeping along the metal like a fever. But it's alive. It has a pulse you can't ignore. Conversations overlap in half a dozen languages, mixing into a single shared hum of survival. Asterisk, you find yourself listening, not to the words, but to the tone. Some of it is mundane, lists of things to do once they land, plans half serious and half dream. A man describes the size of his uncle's house in America with expansive gestures, drawing smiles. Another woman corrects him tartly, saying there are no houses that big for the likes of them. He only winks, unbreathed. Asterisk, children dart between legs, barefoot and quick. Their giggles bouncing off steel walls. They make everything look easy. They haven't learned to care about dignity yet. Asterisk, one older man is sitting apart, humming under his breath, eyes closed. His lips move with words only he can hear. He might be praying or remembering a song. No one disturbs him. Asterisk, near the edge of the room, a group is sharing a small loaf. They're rationing it with surgical precision, dividing it into slivers, so thin they're nearly translucent. No one complains. Each piece is received like a gift. Asterisk, you see hands that shake as they reach. Faces that try not to look too eager. Gratitude that's swallowed quickly so no one feels shamed. Asterisk, the smell is overpowering here. Cooked cabbage from the galley leaking through vents. Unwashed bodies. Old seawater trapped in crevices of the ship that will never really dry. But it's familiar now. It's the background scent of hope. If you're feeling generous, asterisk, you shift your bundle on your back, feeling its weight, not just of fabric, but of memories. A letter folded so many times it's become fragile. A comb with missing teeth. A shirt. You've mended yourself, stitches crooked but stubbornly holding. Asterisk, someone sneezes loudly. A few muttered blessings follow in different languages. It's oddly comforting, that shared ritual. You smile at it. Asterisk, the floor rocks under you with the ship's motion. You don't stumble anymore. Your body's learnt. Your knees flex automatically. You wonder if that's what being an immigrant means. Learning to move with the heave of something bigger than you. Asterisk, you lean against the wall for a moment. It's damp and cold through your clothes. You close your eyes. Let the voices wash over you. Asterisk, you think about where you're going. About promises made over dinner tables. About maps spread out with hopeful fingers, tracing lines that didn't mean much then, but mean everything now. Asterisk, you don't let yourself think too long. The corridor calls you onward, not with kindness, just with inevitability. Asterisk, you push off the wall and keep going. careful not to step on the bundle of someone sleeping on the floor. Their face is slack with exhaustion, mouth open, breath whistling softly. Asterisk, you move past them with care, giving them the respect of pretending they're not snoring. Asterisk, you turn another corner, the light weaker here. A single bulb flickers with the ship's vibration. Shadows crawling up and down the walls, like they're trying to escape. Asterisk, you see someone leaning against the wall. Head bowed, breathing slow and measured. Meditating, maybe. Or just pretending. To be anywhere else, you move past quietly. It's what you do down here, asterisk. You let people keep their dignity where they can find it. Asterisk, you smell the coal again, stronger now. The closer you get to the heart of the ship, you feel the heat pulsing in the metal walls. Hear the low, angry roar of fire fed by shovels. Asterisk, you think of the men working there, stripped to undershirts, soot ground into their pores so deep it might never come out. You don't pity them exactly. That would be insulting. You respect them. Even if you don't say it, you keep your head down and keep walking, because that's the deal here. Asterisk, no one's comfortable, no one's at home, but everyone is headed somewhere. Asterisk, and that's enough to keep moving. It's easy to forget time down here. Hours blend without permission. There's no sunrise or sunset, just lamps burning stubbornly, throwing their sickly glow over riveted walls that refuse to change. People have given up checking their watches. The ship decides when you wake, when you eat, when you sleep. Asterisk, someone's telling a story, voice low but animated. You catch only parts. Something about a farm left behind, the smell of hay at dawn. A brother who promised to send money but didn't. The listeners nod with grave attention, as though these scraps of memory are a shared inheritance. A woman asks a question in accented English, carefully choosing each word. The man answers with the same care, and they both smile, relieved to be understood. Asterisk nearby, a little girl is braiding and unbraiding her own hair, humming tunelessly. She's perched on her father's foot, like it's a chair built for her. Balances her easily, even while trying to keep up with the conversation around him. When she leans back too far, he steadies her without looking, practiced. She doesn't even notice. Asterisk, a couple sits opposite them. The woman leans her head on the man's shoulder, eyes open, blinking slowly. She's not asleep, just resting in that in-between state where dreams and worries mingle. The man strokes her hair, murmuring something private, something meant to soften the truth of where they are. Asterisk, there's the crack of laughter in another corner, too loud, cutting the hush. Heads turn, not angry but curious. A group playing cards has just witnessed a spectacularly bad hand. One player throws down his cards and declares himself cursed, earning groans and mock condolences. He crosses his arms, pouting like a child, until someone bribes him back into the game with half a piece of bread. Asterisk, you watch from your place against the wall, shifting your weight to ease the ache in your back. The ship's vibration is constant here. It runs through the metal into your bones until you can't tell which of you is really moving. Asterisk, your mouth is dry. You think of water. It's available, but it's never quite clean enough, never cool enough to satisfy. The taste of metal lingers on your tongue long after you drink. Still, you do it anyway. Everyone does. No one talks about it. Complaining won't purify it. Asterisk, a man is mending clothes on his lap, needle moving with patient, halting precision. He frowns, tongue caught between his teeth. The fabric is coarse, the hole large, but he works anyway. It's the same shirt he'll wear tomorrow, and the day after. He'll keep fixing it until there's more patch than original. Asterisk, someone's singing softly, a tune that's half lullaby, half lament. The words are hard to hear, even if you speak their language. They're weighted down by everything unsaid, but the melody seeps into the air, calming as it goes. Even the children quiet for it. Asterisk, the ship shudders with a change in pace. Maybe it's the engines settling, maybe it's the sea reminding everyone who's really in charge. No one remarks on it. They just adjust, leaning back into their walls, knees flexing with the sway. Asterisk, you let your eyes roam the space. So many people crammed in, old and young, polished and rough, all of them reduced to the same basics. The same sweat on their skin, the same hair pressed flat from damp, the same hungry look that comes and goes depending on the last meal. Asterisk, you wonder what they see when they look at you. Asterisk, another dreamer, another fool, maybe both. You shift your bundle a little higher on your shoulder. It's light but precious. The contents are nearly worthless to anyone else, but they're all you have. A letter you can't throw away, a shirt that smells like home, coins that might not even spend on the other side. Asterisk, someone catches your eye. They nod once. No smile, but there's recognition in it. You nod back. That's how friendship is sometimes. Forged here, a glance, an understanding that you're both enduring the same indignities. You look away to give them privacy. A baby cries. The mother doesn't scold. She just shifts him to her other hip and begins bouncing gently, whispering, words too soft to carry. The baby quiets eventually, eyes heavy but fighting it. Asterisk, steam leaks from a vent overhead with a hiss that silences the room for a moment. All heads turn toward it, then quickly away. Not fear exactly, more like acknowledgement. The ship talks. In its own language. You ignore it at your peril. Asterisk, you lean your head back against the wall, feeling the cold through your hair. The metal is wet. It leaves your collar damp. You don't bother wiping it. There's no such thing as dry down here for long. Asterisk, someone's snoring. Loud. Another passenger nudges them with a foot. Gentle but firm. The snorer snorts awake, blinking in confusion before settling again. Quieter this time. Asterisk, you close your eyes for a second. Listen, the humming of the ship. The breathing of dozens of people trying to make themselves small. The shuffle of feet adjusting, of bundles shifting, of clothes rustling like autumn leaves. Asterisk, it's not silence, but it's the closest you'll get. Asterisk, you let yourself drift for a heartbeat, then open your eyes, because you have to, because sleep isn't safe here. Not really, because you might miss something important, like someone passing a crust of bread your way, or an invitation to sit closer to the lamp for warmth, or just the comfort of someone else's story cutting through the stink and steel. Asterisk, you adjust your bundle again, the strap biting into your shoulder. You push off the wall, and you start. Moving, careful where you step, careful where you look, careful with everything. Asterisk, because this isn't home. Asterisk, but it's the only place you've got right now. Asterisk, and if you're lucky, if the ship holds, if the sea allows it, it will carry you somewhere better. Asterisk, somewhere you can breathe without thinking about it. Asterisk, somewhere you can sleep without listening for the hiss of steam and the moan of metal. Asterisk, somewhere you can be someone else. Asterisk, someone who isn't constantly damp, constantly tired, constantly waiting. Asterisk, you hold on to that thought, not because it's guaranteed, but because it's all you have. Asterisk, and for now, it's enough. Warmth seeps into you from places you don't want it. Not comforting warmth, but the oppressive, sticky kind that clings to your ribs and makes your shirt feel like damp paper. You roll your shoulders, trying to loosen the tension that's settled. They're over days of bad sleep and worse air. Asterisk, a sour smell hits as you round a bend overcooked cabbage, mingling with unwashed skin and the persistent temps of coal smoke that refuses to leave. Your nose, no matter how many times you sniff or wipe it away. The smell is democratic. It clings to everyone equally. No favorites, no mercy. Asterisk, a pair of men lean against a bulkhead, heads tipped back, eyes closed, breathing through their mouths to avoid the worst of it. Their conversation is slow and ragged, a sentence at a time, as though each word costs them effort. They're swapping plans, half lies and half dreams about jobs waiting for them in America. You can't help but listen, even if you pretend you're not. Asterisk, one of them gestures weakly for emphasis. The other laughs once, dry and humorless, then sighs, resigning himself to the rhythm of the ship rolling beneath them. It's less an argument, and more a ritual, something to do with their mouths besides complain. Asterisk, children dart between legs when there's room, playing a game that only half makes sense, rules shouted in mixed languages. One boy slips and lands hard. He doesn't cry. Immediately, he just lies there blinking at the ceiling as if offended. His sister hauls him up with a grunt and dusts him off in a parody of parental care. They're back at it before anyone can scold them. Asterisk, nearby, a woman is rubbing her temples, elbows on knees. You can see the exhaustion in her eyes, the deep lines carved there by worry and disappointment she can't afford to voice. She's listening to the children, but her gaze is somewhere else entirely. Some memory, some promise that's holding her upright when everything else would knock her down. Asterisk, steam hisses overhead, making a few people jump. It always does, even though they know it's coming. The pipes are alive, muttering and sighing in their private language. You've started answering them in your head, sarcastic responses to each hiss and groan. Anything to keep sane. Asterisk, someone has spread a blanket on the floor. It's too thin to be comfortable, but it's enough to mark a space as theirs. A woman cradles her baby there, humming a tune with no words, the sound too low to do anything but vibrate in her chest. The baby's eyes flutter, fighting sleep, tiny fingers curling into the fabric of her blouse. She closes her eyes as she rocks, mouthing silent prayers to no one in particular. Asterisk, a group nearby is sharing what passes for food, hard bread, cracked into shards and dipped into something thin and warm. They eat without talking, focused on the ritual of lifting food to mouths, chewing carefully, swallowing like it hurts. No one asks for more. There isn't any. Asterisk, laughter breaks out at the far end of the space, unexpected and jarring. A man tells a joke that survives translation into 3 languages by virtue of being just ridiculous enough to work. For a moment the air feels lighter, less poisonous. Even the children pause to listen, giggling when they realize it's meant to be funny. Asterisk, you shift your weight, trying to get comfortable against the wall. The metal is slick with condensation that soaks into your shirt. You don't even bother checking the stain. Clean and dry are dreams you left on the dock. Asterisk, your bundle feels heavy in your hand. You glance at it, not much to see, a shirt, an extra pair of socks, a letter you read too many times on the train to the port. You think about reading it again, but the words are memorized, the paper going soft and fragile at the folds. Asterisk, a man passes you, carrying a dented pot that's something brownish onto the floor. He mutters a curse in a language you don't know, wipes his boot on the wall without stopping. He gives you a look that's half apology, half dare. You nod once, letting him know you're not interested in fighting over it. No one fights here, if they can help it. There's no privacy for sulking, no room to avoid the person you argued with. Grudges just make everything smaller. Asterisk, another shudder runs through the ship. It's a big one, sending a chorus of gasps and curses. Someone drops a bowl that skitters away, leaking its contents onto the floor. They stare at the mess for a long moment before sighing and crouching to clean it with the corner of their sleeve. Asterisk, you crouch to help, holding the bowl while they scrape the worst back in with their fingers. They give you a crooked smile when you hand it back, you return it. That's how friendships start here, accidental, necessary. Asterisk, you stand again, brushing off your knees. The fabric is already damp. It doesn't matter. Asterisk, conversations pick back up as though nothing happened. The laughter is softer now, but it's still there. Asterisk, someone singing again. This time it's in Italian, words rounded and heavy, carrying sadness even you can understand without knowing the language. A few people hum along, letting it wash over them. A mother sways with her child, using the music like a bomb. Asterisk, the ship settles. It's rolling, evening out. For now, asterisk, you take the chance to stretch your neck, roll your shoulders, try to find a position. That doesn't ache. It doesn't work. But you do it anyway. Asterisk, someone hands you a crust of bread without asking if you're hungry. You take it, chew slowly. It's stale, but it's food. You nod your thanks with your mouth full. They nod back and turn away, already sharing another with someone else. Asterisk, that's how kindness works here. Quiet, matter-of-fact, asterisk. You wipe your mouth with the back of your hand and look around at these strangers who aren't really strangers anymore. Asterisk, no. One here chose each other. Asterisk, but for now, you're all that you have. Asterisk, and maybe, just maybe, that's enough to keep going. The hush that settles afterward feels earned, like everyone agreed without words to let things be quiet for a while. It's not true silence, there's no such thing here, but the conversations drop to murmurs, the laughter to the occasional chuckle muffled behind a hand. Even the children seem to recognize it's time to calm down. They lean against parents, heads resting on shoulders, eyelids fluttering with the promise of sleep. They'll fight for a few more minutes. Asterisk, the lamps overhead burn low and uneven. Their glow creates pools of light that fail to reach the walls, leaving corners in thick shadow. People arrange themselves carefully around them, choosing closeness over comfort because the dark is worse. It's not fear of what's hiding. Exactly, it's the knowledge that shadows make everything Lonelier. Asterisk, you edge into one of these circles of light, finding a spot on the floor that isn't quite wet but is still cold. Crossing your legs, you set your bundle in your lap, hands resting on top like you're guarding treasure. You don't know why you bother. No one here is interested in stealing. They'd have to carry it after all, and no one wants more weight. Asterisk, a woman across from you is darning socks by lamplight, lips pressed tight in concentration. Her fingers move with the awkward grace of someone who never wanted to be good at sewing but had to be. She checks her work every few stitches, tugging at the fabric, frowning at a knot, starting over. Her child is asleep against her leg, tiny hand curled around the hem of her skirt. She doesn't move, even when her foot goes numb. Beside her, a man with a grizzled beard is telling a story so quietly you have to strain to hear. He's describing the river near his childhood home, the way the sun hit the water in the morning, how the fish flashed like coins tossed by the gods. A younger man listens with reverence, eyes soft, head tilted. Maybe he's never seen a river. Maybe he just needs to imagine something clean. You close your eyes and listen, letting the words paint something green and gentle over the smell of sweat and steel and old salt. It doesn't last. Your mind keeps wandering back to the present, the ache in your back, the sting of salt on cracked lips, the way your clothes chafe in places you're too polite to scratch in public. Someone offers a sip of something strong from a battered flask. It burns going down, but it's real. It's a promise that tomorrow might be easier to face with one less worry. You hand it back without complaint. The man wipes the rim on his sleeve before passing it to the next person. It's a small courtesy everyone appreciates. A pipe above you groans, the metal contracting with a sound like an old man standing up too quickly. No one startles. It's part of the vocabulary of the ship now, a language of strain and pressure. Everyone understands without speaking it. Someone starts to hum. Not a song exactly, just a line of melody repeated and changed until it settles in the bones. It's enough to make people lean closer. The mother sewing slows her stitches, falling into time with it. The storyteller pauses to listen, smile tugging. At the corner of his mouth, you lean forward on your elbows, resting your chin on your bundle. The lamplight flickers, throwing faces into relief, deep lines, sunken eyes, smudges of dirt and sweat, all made beautiful by the attention they're paying to one another. It's not home, but for this moment, it feels like something close. The hum falters as the singer's voice catches. They cough, embarrassed. Someone claps them on the shoulder. Good enough, says another voice, accented but certain. A ripple of laughter follows, soft and genuine. You let yourself laugh too. It's quiet, but it feels good. Your stomach growls. No one remarks on it. Their own bellies are making the same complaints. Food is scarce, but you know there'll be something tomorrow. There has to be. That's the deal the ticket promised, even if it lied about everything else. The mother finally finishes her mending, ties off the thread with a sharp tug. She holds up the sock, inspecting it like it's a piece of fine art. Then she sets it aside and shifts her child gently, trying to find a position that will let her own spine rest for a minute. The child whines in protest but doesn't wake fully. Around the edge of the light, people are curling up for sleep. Blankets are spread, thin and full of holes, but better than nothing. Some use coats. Some just tuck arms under heads and try not to think about the chill seeping up from the floor. The lamp sputters once, threatening to go out. Everyone watches it. No one breathes. Then it steadies, a little weaker but still alive. A collective sigh fills the space, no one willing to be the first to say they were worried. You shift to get comfortable. It's hopeless, but you do it. Anyway, you settle your bundle behind you for support, crossing your arms over your knees, chin resting on them. You're not ready to close your eyes. Not yet. Instead, you watch these strangers, these companions, as they try to sleep, as they talk in whispers, as they hold onto each other when there's nothing else to hold on to. It's ugly and sad. and stubbornly beautiful. Asterisk, and you're grateful to be here, even if you hate it, because at least you're moving, at least you're going somewhere, at least you have the audacity to hope. You let your eyelids lower, just a little. Asterisk, you'll rest, not sleep, not yet, but rest, because tomorrow you'll need your strength. Asterisk, tomorrow you'll do this all over again. Asterisk, and if you're lucky, you'll still have someone humming beside you, still have a lamp burning, even if it flickers, still have the promise of something better waiting at the other end of all this steel and sweat and sea. The lamp burns lower as the night deepens, its glow shrinking in on itself. Shapes huddle closer, drawing lines in the dimness where trust has to do the work that walls can't. You shift again, careful not to bump the person next to you. Every inch of space is negotiated without words. A shoulder turned this way, knees folded that way. Asterisk, the air is heavier than ever, stirred by too many lungs. It moves in slow eddies that bring each smell back around for another inspection. Sweat and brine, old stew, coal smoke, the sharp scent of iron. Nothing fresh, nothing clean. Just the proof that everyone's alive, sharing the same breath whether they want to or not. Asterisk, you study the faces lit by the sickly light. Eyes closed in forced sleep, mouths slack with exhaustion, a hand resting protectively over a bundle of clothes or pressed to a child's back. These people aren't friends in any real sense, but there's a familiarity that's been earned the hard way. You can see it in the nods they exchange, the small shifts that create room for one more body. Asterisk, someone murmurs in their sleep, a phrase in a language you don't know. The voice cracks on the last syllable and fades. No one reacts. Dreams here are private, even when they're overheard by a dozen strangers. Asterisk, you lean your head back and feel the cold seep through your scalp. The wall is damp, collecting the breath of the sea just outside. It feels like the ocean is pressing in, eager to reclaim the space. You listen to it in the creaks and groans of the metal. Not threatening exactly, just present, always reminding. You, it's their asterisk, one of the card players, lets out a laugh, too loud for the hour. He catches himself, claps a hand over his mouth, grinning sheepishly. The others shush him with smiles, unable to hold back their own amusement. It fades into a warm hush, a glow that lingers after the sound is gone. Asterisk, children stir in their sleep, rolling into the spaces left for them. A mother pulls her coat over two small bodies, ignoring the chill that slides up her own back when she does it. Someone reaches out to adjust a lamp so it doesn't gutter, shielding the flame with a cupped hand. The wick flares, steadies. A small victory. Asterisk, you exhale slowly, counting the seconds it takes for your breath to fade. There's no plan here for tomorrow, no clear instruction about where to stand or how to wait, just the promise of another day on the water, another round of meals you'll line up for, another game of avoiding the worst spots on the floor when you sit down. Asterisk. But no one talks about that now. Asterisk, voices drop off one by one, not silenced but quieted by sheer weariness. Heads tip forward, arms cross, bodies lean together without apology. It's not comfort exactly, but it's enough to let the world slip away for a few hours. Asterisk, the ship keeps moving, steady, implacable, a machine chewing through the ocean with stubborn purpose. It has its own will, its own sense of time that ignores the needs of its cargo. Asterisk, you watch the shadows move across the walls, thrown by the trembling lamp. Shapes stretch, and contract with the swell. It's hypnotic if you let it be. Asterisk, you blink, slow and deliberate, not ready to sleep but not willing to stay fully awake. Somewhere between, listening without hearing, seeing without really watching. Asterisk, and in that suspended moment, that thin layer between one breath and the next, the ship rolls on, carrying you and everyone around you deeper into the darkness, closer to something you can't quite name, but can't stop chasing either. Asterisk, you don't know what you'll find when the lamps go out completely. Asterisk, but you know you'll keep looking. The rocking becomes steadier, a lull that's deceptive in its calm. Metal sighs with each shift, rivets creaking in sympathy like old bones settling into an ache they know too well. A handful of voices remain, hushed to whispers as though they're afraid to disturb the bulkhead itself. Conversations trail off mid-thought. Thoughts left unfinished because there's nothing left to say that hasn't been said. Asterisk. You hear the scrape of a boot dragged slowly across the floor. Someone rearranging their legs for the 100th time, chasing a position that won't leave them limping come morning. Another body shifts nearby with a low groan, fabric catching and tearing slightly at a worn seam. The sound is met with resigned silence. There's no fixing it now. Asterisk, farther down, you catch the stuttering snore of a man who managed to pass out, leaning against the wall, head lolling to one side, mouth open. No one tries to wake him or hush him. His neighbors just angle themselves away, pulling collars over noses, accepting this new background noise, like they've accepted every other indignity on board. Asterisk, a baby starts to whimper, the cry dry and exhausted even before it builds. The mother presses her child to her chest, rocking in tiny circles, crooning in a voice too low to soothe anyone but them. Her words are half apology, half promise. It quiets eventually, or tires itself out. It's hard to tell which. Asterisk, steam breathes from a cracked valve nearby, a warm exhalation that momentarily fights back the chill. The hiss is long and low, tapering into a wet rattle. It's so familiar, no one even flinches. Instead, they lean into it for that fleeting touch of heat, eyelids lowering in appreciation they won't voice aloud. Asterisk, a man a few feet away is picking at a callus on his palm. He holds it up to the light, inspecting it like it might reveal a secret about the future. He scrapes with a fingernail, flakes of dry skin falling unnoticed onto the floor. He looks up suddenly, catches your eye. He doesn't nod, doesn't look away immediately either. Just holds your gaze long enough for an understanding to pass between you. Neither of you wants to be here, but here you are. Asterisk, someone mutters something about the morning. It's not a plan so much as a question no one can answer. When will we see the sun again? When will the door open? When will someone say it's time? The words fade into the damp as quickly as they're spoken. Asterisk, the smell is its own presence. Now, settled, stubborn, alive in the way rot is alive. You find yourself breathing through your mouth, then switching back because it doesn't help. There's no escaping it, only acclimating. Even the memory of cleaner air is starting to dull. Asterisk, you glance down at your bundle, lumpy and soft in all. The wrong places. The cloth is frayed at the edges, corners darkened from being set on too many filthy floors. It holds everything you own that matters here. A piece of home you carry like proof you were someone before this. Asterisk, the lamp sputters, and every head turns to watch. There's no panic, just grim expectation, but it flares back, weaker but holding. Someone breathes out with relief, earning a few muttered curses about scaring everyone. The lamp's glow returns to its steady, quivering rhythm, throwing thin halos over drawn faces. Asterix's voices return in small waves, quiet jokes, memories told without drama, names spoken as though they might vanish if left too long in silence. You listen without joining in, content to let the sound wash over you, dulling the thoughts that get too sharp in the dark. Asterisk, you lean back, ignoring the wet chill that seeps through your shirts. Your head rests against the steel, vibrations crawling up through your hair, humming in your teeth. The ship's language, patient and harsh. You've learned not to argue with it. It's not peace down here, but it's not war either. Asterisk, just the middle place everyone's learned to survive. Asterisk, no one's comfortable. No one's content, but no one's given up. Not yet. The lamp flickers, and the group adjusts around it like flowers leaning toward a stingy sun. Someone starts humming a tune without words, just enough sound to keep the silence from swallowing everything whole. It's not beautiful in any traditional sense, but it's true. Asterisk and truth. In this stale, crowded dark is a kind of mercy. You let yourself listen, not because you need to, asterisk, but because it's the only thing keeping the walls from pressing in, asterisk, and for now, that's what matters. The warmth isn't generous. It's the kind that soaks your clothes and sticks them to your skin. Every movement pulls at damp fabric, the seams biting into shoulders, arms, backs. The shirts are thick, woven for punishment rather than comfort. Stiff even when wet. The fibers scratch at your neck, soak up sweat, hold onto it like a secret. Asterisk, you can hear people fidgeting in their clothes, trying to find an angle where nothing chafes. They tug at collars, roll sleeves up and down with the futility of someone rearranging deck chairs in the rain. The result is the same. They're stuck with what they have. Asterisk, someone mutters about the cold, another about the heat. Both right, both wrong. It depends on where you stand. Near the boilers, the air is a wet oven, licking at your arms, filling your lungs with the taste of burnt coal. Move away, and the chill returns like a jealous lover, cold enough to make your bones ache, seeping in under layers that never really dry. Asterisk, boots thud against the metal floor. Most are second-hand, bought cheap from someone who couldn't afford to keep going. The leather is cracked, the soles worn thin. You hear curses when toes stub against pipes in the dark. Asterisk, dark, that's the other constant. The light here is not a gift, it's a negotiation. Lamps hang from low hooks, their flames shielded by cloudy glass, sooty from weeks of work. When they're lit at all, they glow weakly, painting shadows on every surface. People gather around them instinctively, huddling into the warm circles they cast. Faces half lit, half vanished. Asterisk, they argue over how much oil is left, how much they should save for tomorrow. Every turn of the wick is considered theft from the future. The lamps sputter in protest if turned too high. The ship's motion makes the flames tremble, stretching shadows into monsters on the riveted walls. Asterisk, one man guards a lamp with cupped hands, shielding it from drafts that slither through cracks in the corridor. He's got a burn scar on his thumb from the last time he tried to relight it. He doesn't complain about the pain. No one does. Complaints are cheap here, and no one's buying. Asterisk, someone wraps a blanket tighter around their shoulders. It's wool, but not the nice kind, rough enough to scrub skin raw. The color's indeterminate, stained with sweat and time, mended in places with stitches that zigzagged like a drunk trying to walk straight. Still, it's better than nothing. Asterisk conversation. Turns practical. How to patch a tear without enough thread. How to dry socks in air that refuses to be dry. When the lamps are lowered even further to save oil, the words go quieter, as if people are afraid of wasting sound. Asterisk farther along, the air thickens with heat and noise. The boiler rooms are the ship's lungs, always working, always complaining. Even before you see them, you hear them, metal clanging in the rhythm of shovels hitting coal, the roar of flames, the shouts of men coordinating in the only language that matters here. Get it done or someone burns. Asterisk when you reach the doorway, the glow is hellish. Orange and red light pulsing with each heave of the ship. The heat slams into your face like a door you weren't ready for. It has a smell all its own: ash, sweat, scorched oil, misery cooked into something metallic and sour. Asterisk men work stripped to undershirts, skin shining wet, faces blackened except where sweat cuts pale trails. Number 1 speaks beyond what's necessary. A single word shouted over the roar. A hand signal. The exchange of shovels when someone's arms fail. They don't have time for pleasantries. Asterisk, you don't linger. Few do. You step away, grateful even for the wet cold that waits in the corridor. You wipe your brow, the sweat chilling instantly, sending a shiver across your shoulders. Asterisk, the passage narrows and twists ahead. It's a maze, clearly designed by someone who never had to live in it. No maps, no signs, just turns that look alike and doors that refuse to open or slam shut in. Your face. People have their own methods to navigate. Scratches on a bulkhead. A bit of cloth tied to a pipe. Memory. Asterisk. You overhear two men arguing in the dark about which way leads to the galley. Both are wrong. A woman passing by sighs and points silently, not even waiting to see if they thank her. Asterisk, it's funny in a mean sort of way, how easy it is to get lost on something meant to go in a straight line. Asterisk, you keep your eyes on the details. The rivet missing here, the streak of rust there, the scent sour with coal one way, salty and damp another. Even your nose becomes a compass if you let it. Asterisk, and always there's the sound. The shuffle of feet on wet metal, the coughs that echo in the narrow space, the whispers of children told to hush, though they can't help asking, are we there yet? In whatever language they learned to plead in. Asterisk, the galley, when you find it, is a miracle no one asked for. It's hot, yes, but in a way that promises food at the end of it. Huge pots bubble over coals, stew so thin you can see the ladle through it. But it's hot, it's got salt, sometimes even a scrap of meat. Asterisk, men and women take turns, serving, doling out careful ladles into battered bowls. A few kids hover, pretending not to be hungry for a second helping they know won't come. Asterisk, the smell is a punch in the nose. Onions, potatoes, something vaguely like beef if you believe hard enough. Burned in spots where no one stirred enough, but no one complains. They just eat. Asterisk, bread as hard as a board, broken with a rock or the heel of a boot if it's really stubborn. People chew it like it's a challenge, spitting out crumbs that end up in the folds of clothes or the floor, picked up later by someone too hungry to care. Asterisk, no one eats alone if they can help it. Even strangers share space, shoulders touching as they hold their bowls in laps. Conversation is halting but genuine. Memories of food at home, Favorite recipes no one can make here. Jokes about opening a restaurant once they land, if they ever get off this floating prison. Asterisk one man gestures with his spoon as he describes a roast so tender it fell apart with a glance. The woman next to him laughs until she coughs, wiping her mouth with her sleeve, eyes watering. He pats her back carefully, apologizing with a crooked grin. Asterisk beyond the galley. There's evidence of other guests on board, small scratches. Along the wall near a bundle of supplies, a half-chewed crust someone tried to hide, the unmistakable sound of scurrying in the dark. No one's surprised. People stomp feet to scare them off. Keep food wrapped in cloth, suspended from hooks, tucked under heads at night. A kid points at a rat once, delighted like it's a circus act. His mother hushes him sharply, shooting a look at the rodent that says, "We don't have room for you too." They're just trying to get by, same as the rest of us. In the middle of this, you catch the notes of music. Someone with a battered violin, strings replaced with whatever they could find that would hold tension. The sound is scratchy, off-key at times, but it's music. Asterisk, people gather without being asked. Someone claps in time, another stamps a foot. A couple tries to dance in the tiny space they have, bumping into others who laugh instead of shoving back. The violinist grins, sweat dripping from their nose, lost in the moment. Asterisk laughter rolls through the corridor like a breeze, pushing back the stink and fear for a few precious minutes. Someone sings badly, joyfully. It doesn't matter if the words make sense. Asterisk, when the song ends, there's a quiet that's not quite silence, a satisfied hush, like everyone took a bite of something real. Asterisk, you watch people spread out again, settling into their corners, cheeks flushed. A man leans back, wiping his face. A woman smooths her skirt, embarrassed at having danced. A child collapses onto a pile of rags, giggling until they fall asleep mid-breath. Asterisk, and then the hum of the ship rises back to dominance. The grind of metal, the breath of steam. The ocean slapping at the hull. Asterisk, people go back to planning the next hour. Where they'll sleep, who gets the best spot near the wall, how to keep boots from being stolen, even if no one here is really a thief. Asterisk, they work out small trades. A scrap of cloth for a turn at the stove. A promise to hold a place in line. A split crust of bread with a handshake like it seals a contract. Asterisk, it's economy at its rawest. Not fair, but fair enough. Asterisk, and in this cramped, rolling, sweating world, fair enough is a treasure you hold close. All around you, the movement slows, like the entire space is finally running out of arguments for staying awake. Conversations falter, sentences drift unfinished into the heavy air. The lamps burn low, casting pools of yellow that can't decide whether to comfort or frighten. Faces look older in this light, carved deep with shadows that remember everything. Asterisk, you sit with your bundle in your lap, watching the last of the negotiations die down. A scrap of bread traded for a place to lean. A promise of help, tomorrow sealed. With a nod, no papers, no signatures. Just trust, because there's nothing else left. Asterisk, someone rubs their hands over their arms. The wool of their coat rough enough to spark complaints from their skin. But there's no point mentioning it. Everyone knows. Clothes here don't fit well. They don't keep you warm enough. They just try. Asterisk near the wall. A man sighs so deeply you feel it in your own chest. He slumps forward, forehead resting on folded arms. His shoulders rise and fall with the motion of the ship. You can't tell if he's praying or trying not to cry. Asterisk, the woman beside him reaches out without looking. She puts her palm gently on his back and leaves it there. No words, no questions, just weight, just presence. Asterisk further along, children are stacked like firewood in laps and against chests. Their breathing is uneven, raspy with the damp and the stink, but it's sleep. Parents hold them carefully, rocking with the roll of the ship. Letting the motion do the work, they're too tired to finish. Asterisk, someone lights a last lamp, shielding it with a cupped hand so it doesn't flare too brightly. The glow softens every face it touches. Eyes catch it and blink slowly, like they're fighting the idea of being awake at all. Asterisk, you lean back against the cold wall. It's wet under you, condensation collecting from breath and bodies, and the unending sweat of the sea, pressing at the other side of the steel. You ignore it. There's no point shifting anymore. Every spot is just as bad as the last dot. Asterisk. The ship itself seems to sigh, settling. The deep hum of its engines changes pitch, softer but still there, like a heartbeat, like breathing. You feel it in your bones. Asterisk. No one says goodnight. The words feel too polite, too normal for here. People just close their eyes when they can, surrendering one by one to exhaustion. Asterisk, some hum quietly to themselves, mouth barely moving. A mother tells a story in a language you don't know, voice so soft you feel it more than hear it. A man whispers a list of things he'll do when he steps on land, as if repeating it often enough will make it real. Asterisk, you close your own eyes, but you don't sleep, not really. You hover in that space between waking and dreams, where the ship's motion rocks you just enough to pretend you're safe. Asterisk, you wonder what it'll be like to see the sky again, to breathe air that doesn't taste like rust and salt and strangers, to stretch your legs on ground that doesn't move beneath you. Asterisk, it's funny, you know you'll complain then too, about the cold, about the mud, about work that's too hard or pay that's too low. Asterisk. But at least it'll be your complaint. At least you'll have earned the right to it. You listen to the ship, to the hush that's not silence, the shuffle of feet repositioning, the drip of water from a pipe overhead, the snore of someone who's finally too tired to care. Asterisk, you take one slow breath, then another. You let your head rest on your bundle, and you promise yourself that tomorrow you'll do it all again. Asterisk, because that's the cost, that's the deal. Not comfort, not kindness, just forward. Because forward is the only thing that matters now. Forward is the promise that lets everyone keep their eyes closed a little longer. Asterisk, and in the dark, with the ship rolling on and on, you hold that promise like the last light in the world. You keep it close, not because it's enough, but because it's yours. Thank you for spending this long, slow, cramped journey with me tonight. Asterisk, think about those crowded, sweating, laughing, crying strangers who somehow found ways to share what little they had. Asterisk, think about how, even in the worst air you could imagine, they still told stories, played music, offered bread. Now open your eyes, or don't. Look around at the space you're in, the walls that don't sweat, the bed that doesn't move, the light that stays on without a fight. Asterisk, and know that somewhere in the crowded dark of history, people bought you that comfort with the price of their own hope. Asterisk, maybe hold it gently, maybe carry it forward. Thank you for joining me. Sleep well, and dream of where you're going next.